What's going on, everyone? About twice a season at this point, Mystic, also known as MysticMismagius, on Discord gives us a fantastic, almost like journalism article to digest and discuss over the Town of Salem 2 meta and the current kind of thoughts and feelings from the more bigger brain people in the community. The past season was no different. We'll get into the all-any stuff at a later date, but I want to talk about kind of a smaller article that she did here about, I think it was May 17th, if I remember the date correctly, talking about deleting roles. And she goes into great detail of, why deleting roles from the game would be useful and benefit either from balancing or leaving the roles in makes it worse, or what roles should be considered for deletion, and even gives a list of some roles that she would consider deleting. There's several people on this article that she has worked with and has discussed with, including Toast, who's another kind of big brain, you could say, Town of Salem 2 thinker, researcher, I don't know what you want to call them at this point. However, here are the three reasons that a role should be considered for deletion according to Mystic. Number one, the role has been problematic for a long time. Admire is the example for that. Number two, the role's concept is very rigid and defined. She uses Jester for that, and then the role's existence is highly redundant. I believe she uses Investigator for this. And we'll discuss a bunch of the roles that she talks about, and we'll discuss I'm not coming at this as this needs to happen, because very clearly Curtis said no, like straight up. Curtis repeated multiple times this: we will not delete a role. We might do what Pirate does with Ranked and shelve it, but we will not delete a role. So let's go over some of these problematic roles and maybe give context into why, and context into what could be changed. So this is, and I'm going to kick on some music so that it's a little bit more fun to listen to. Here is kind of a brief discussion, probably not brief at all, on Mystic's role deletion article. Cue in that music. Let's make sure the music actually works. Bless. Cool. Doing it all live in one go. So, first thing we're going to talk about is Investigator. And you're looking at this and you're seeing Spy and you're thinking, that don't look like an Investigator. So, in the magical world of pulling up exactly what Mystic said, there's a paste bin, by the way, of all this. And speaking of that paste bin, I'm just going to knock that off to one side. Investigator falls into categories 1 and 3. Remember, categories 1 and 3 was the role's problematic and the role's existence is highly redundant. So Investigator currently takes up the niche of Coroner with its blood ability and the niche of Spy with its perceptibility. It has no identity of its own and gets in the way of buffs for the two weakest TI in the game, which is Spy and Coroner. I still think Sheriff's pretty weak, but it needs to go so it can finally stop holding Coroner and Spy hostage. Here is how I'm going to take this stance. Investigator is a weaker Spy. Well, here's how I'm going to take it. Right now, Investigator is stronger than both Spy and Coroner. What if Investigator was a weaker version of Spy and Coroner together, so makes Spy and Coroner stronger, and Investigator is weak? Because with TI, there's a lot of TI generally, you hope. In a game, there's a lot of TI, and so if there's some overlap, that's okay. Because, the last thing you want is one of your TI going, and then, you lose all functionality to check for who the killer is. So a little bit of overlap, but maybe make those specific roles stronger so that, they're more ideal. Right now, Percept is a really strong ability, and I don't want Percept to change. I want Spy to be better. So, with that, and I need to loop this. There we go. So rather than make Investigator worse, let's make Spy better. Bug stays until death. I think that should be a straight thing no matter what. And then the bug states what evils visit, so it's similar to Percept, and you still get that information. And so it makes Spy a little bit stronger over Percept. In my opinion, I think that would benefit. Then Coroner. Coroner gets the results of the dead player when autopsied. I think this is a better Town of Salem 2 change. I don't know if this is enough for Coroner, but this is just something to throw at the wall, and that's kind of what I do best around here, I guess. The next big one is Admirer, and Mystic goes into great detail about the problems of Admirer, and that should be not shocking, because if you've watched any of my tier list, Admirer is almost always near the bottom. Where does she... Here we go. Admire. Admire was a problem in Alpha. This is for number 1, by the way, which is Category 1, which is, it's been problematic for a really long time. Community has never came up with a good rework. Multiple reworks for Admirer are not good. So no one can figure out what it is. I'm not saying this is a fix. I am saying let's throw more things at it and see what it looks like. I also see that down at the very bottom, you can barely see over. You can now see over as it jumps back to Curtis because, Curtis loves money. So this is just things to throw at the wall for Admire. I'm not saying I want this, and I'm not saying it's a fix. If you care for your lover, you will know who visited your target. It's a support, so that gives more supporty, investigative things, because Admire already is kind of a pseudo-town investigative at times. This is a big one. You get basic defense when you have a lover, toxic or not. That should encourage people to propose more, rather than just, doing it because that's the only thing Admirer can do. And then if your lover dies, this is an interesting one that I think might be fun. If your lover dies, you have the day to live and get your lover lynched. If you do so, you avenge your lover and you continue to play the game. If not, you die once the voting is over. You can have like a fun little cinematic where, so-and-so, let's say, Mystic's the Admirer. Mystic's heartbroken because she couldn't avenge her lover and she dies in sadness and depression. I don't know. So it could be something similar to Vigilante, how that works in Better TOS too. Just things to throw at the wall. The next one is Jester. If you've seen any of my tier lists, you know that I think Jester is a very good role. In fact, I think it's probably the strongest role in the game, 98% of the time. Jester falls into the category of number 2, which is, it's so rigid in what it does that it just doesn't work, because it's the only role. I can roll Jester, I can walk away, make sure that the doesn't kick me for going FK, and I will win. As long as I don't get unlucky. Because, I voted him up. He's not saying anything. Guilty. He's Jester. And Town has no, or Coven really, has no real hindrance to dealing with Jester. Because just another person dies. Okay, a lot of people die in Town of Salem too. So, here are some things to throw at the wall. Rather than kill someone, as I get pinged, rather than kill someone, Jester can maybe block all who voted guilty from completing their night action, so a mass roll block. You felt guilty for lynching the Jester, so you stayed home. You can make an exception for evil killing rolls, because they don't care if the Jester dies. That stinks that that's going to be in the background for the rest of the video. Blocks all of Town specifically from using their night action. If you want to make it an anti-Town roll, I don't know how much I agree with that, but okay. And then both of these would kick out if, like, the jailer was supposed to jail someone, the admirer was supposed to propose to someone, a corner or the socialite, nada, nothing. And then those you could also add or take away or maybe leave that those that voted guilty cannot vote tomorrow. I don't know how the coding would work, but it would be really interesting if only those that voted innocent were the only ones that were allowed to vote, and that was the number that it would select to try and vote something. Just a thought. I'm going to swap. You're going to watch because I have a replay going in the background, which shouldn't shock anyone. Let's throw on another replay. Boop. There we go. So that's Jester. Just some things to throw out there. Some good, some not. There's 3 more roles left. Role number 1 is Marshal. Again, the solution is just like Conjure, Nuke It, or, Executioner or Jester. A way to where in the middle it just stops. A really dumb answer is introduce Judge into the game as a coven role. It would be really cool. It'd be really cool to do. I think you're about. Never mind. I thought I saw a whisper from the previous game. I think it would be really cool to have a coven role that messes with the voting, like votes up and whatnot. I might work on that. That might be another project. But anyway, a really dumb answer is just add Judge. And maybe make it like how Vampire and Vampire Hunter was, where if Marshal spawns, Judge also spawns, because Judge is a hard counter to Marshal. Just straight up. But, I find the Marshals now more reasonable than when it was 3. And then the last 2. By the way, Marshal is a 1, I believe. I was too busy swapping over. Let's pull back up you. Marshal is category 3, which, remember, category 3 is the role's existence highly redundant because Marshal is just prosecutor. And then the last one that she talks about is Psychic. And so Psychic Seer. Basically, Seer is redundant of Psychic. And there's also Pirate, but Pirate's Pirate. We don't care about Pirates. So here are 2 not good answers for Seer and Psychic. But I figured, 2 not good answers are better than other answers. So, Seer, it takes a day to select 1 target. It takes a day to select target 2. That really kills Seer, which some people would not mind. In the world of making the game harder on town and slower, slowing down one of the fastest ways to lynch someone is fair. Psychic's a little different because right now all of the odd nights are useless, really, and the evil visits, can be easily blockable, but that's besides the point. So here's a different way of doing Psychic, and I don't exactly like it, but it's better than me saying nothing at this point, right? So, night 1. There's at least a evil remaining. There is at least a town remaining. Which is like, duh. Then set the night equals the number. So on night 5, if there's 5 evils remaining, you'll say there are at least 5 evils remaining, or there are at least 5 town remaining. Once it gets to the correct amount, once, you know, it's night 4 and there's 4 evils remaining, it will say there are 4 evils remaining in the game. Again, not fun, but it is something. Again, I'm going to link the full article down in the description. That is all for me. Shout out to Mystic. She's awesome. I'm about ready to do another Mystic video. And so I'm sure that she's going to be in the comments. So if you see her in the comments, go say hello. She's fantastic. She puts a lot of time into these things, a lot more time than I wish I could put in as much time as she does. Go talk with her in the comments or talk with her on Discord. She is super friendly to discuss with. That is all for me. We are going to cut it here. Again, check out the article, and I will catch you next time.